Hey everyone, and welcome back to AI Podcast.
Uh-huh.
We're always talking about these billion-dollar AI models, right? The
Yep.
ones that seem like they're straight out of science fiction.
Yeah.
But today we're diving into one that's really shaking things up. And get this, it's surprisingly affordable.
Oh.
It's called Deepseek V2. And we want to give you the inside scoop on what it is, how it works, and what it means for the AI race between China and the West.
Okay.
It's really turning heads because it can go toe-to-toe with the big players like, your GPTs and your what have you.
Right.
But it does it without breaking the bank.
That's interesting. What's really remarkable about Deepseek V2 is its cost effectiveness. We're talking about a large language model, or LLM for short,
Okay.
that's been developed in China, and it costs a fraction of what its competitors do.
Really?
Yeah, imagine getting 1 million words processed for about 14 cents and generating 1 million words for just double that.
Wow.
That's Deepseek V2's price tag.
So that's like finding a designer outfit at a thrift store price.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what's the catch? Are they cutting corners on performance to get that affordability?
That's what's so intriguing. Deepseek V2 doesn't compromise on quality, even though it's so cost-effective. It's built on a lightweight architecture, and that lets it deliver responses super quickly, even for complex tasks.
So it's like a super efficient engine that sips fuel but still packs a punch.
Exactly. One of the keys to its efficiency is a training technique called sparse training.
Sparse training. Okay, now you've officially piqued my curiosity.
Yeah?
Break it down for us. How does sparse training make this model so efficient?
Imagine you have this massive library, but you only need to access a few specific books at any given time.
Okay.
So instead of turning on all the lights and searching every shelf, you have a system that only illuminates the sections with the books you need.
Okay.
That's basically what sparse training does.
Oh, wow.
It activates only the relevant parts of the model for a specific task.
Got it.
And that significantly reduces the computational resources it needs.
So it's all about being strategic and only using the brain power you need for the job.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm guessing that plays a big part in Deepseek V2's ability to be both cost-effective and high-performing. But tell me, is this model just a cheaper alternative? Or does it bring something unique to the table compared to the big names like GPT and Gemini?
That's a great question. Deepseek V2 is specifically designed with the Chinese market in mind.
Oh, okay.
Not only is it trained on this vast data set of Chinese text and code, but it also excels in multilingual tasks. And it's designed to comply with China's specific AI regulations.
So it's like having a custom-tailored suit that fits perfectly and meets all the local requirements. That must be a huge advantage for businesses operating in China.
Absolutely.
But I'm still curious about how it stacks up against the giants, especially GPT.
Right.
We hear so much about GPT's capabilities. Does Deepseek V2 even come close?
Well, let's break down the comparison. First, the cost difference is staggering. Deepseek V2's pay-as-you-go model is unheard of in the realm of large language models.
Yeah.
GPT, with its massive training datasets and resource-intensive architecture, comes with a hefty price tag.
Right.
Then there's the training approach.
Hold on. You mentioned earlier that Deepseek V2 uses techniques like sparse training to be efficient. How does GPT's training approach differ?
GPT takes more of a brute force approach, leveraging massive amounts of data and computational power to achieve its impressive capabilities.
I see.
While this leads to powerful general-purpose performance, it also means higher costs and resource consumption. In contrast, Deepseek V2 prioritizes efficiency by focusing on specific needs.
Gotcha.
And using techniques like sparse training and layer freezing, which selectively freezes certain parts of the model during training to save resources.
So it's like comparing a marathon runner who trains for endurance with a sprinter who focuses on explosive speed.
Yeah.
Both have their strengths, but they take different paths to reach their goals.
Exactly.
And what about Gemini? Where does it fit into this equation?
Gemini, another major player in China, is considered a premium model.
Oh, okay.
It prioritizes cutting-edge performance and often uses really advanced techniques that push the boundaries of what's possible, but that also tends to make it more expensive.
Okay, so we have Deepseek V2, the cost-effective and efficient contender. GPT, the powerhouse, known for its general-purpose abilities.
Yeah.
And Gemini, the premium choice, prioritizing top-tier performance.
Right.
Sounds like there's a model for every need and budget, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. What's interesting is that this diversity of approaches reflects a larger trend in the AI landscape.
You mean the fact that China's becoming a major player in the AI game?
Precisely. DeepSeek V2 is just one example of China's growing influence in the development and deployment of cutting-edge AI technologies.
I'm guessing that brings us back to that big question we posed at the beginning.
Okay.
Has China caught up with the West in the LLM race?
It's a big question.
Yeah, it sounds like the answer might not be so simple.
You're right. It depends on how you define catching up. Is it purely about performance cost effectiveness or something else entirely?
Well, let's delve into that in our next segment. We'll explore the nuances of this question and see where DeepSeek V2 fits into the bigger picture of the AI landscape. Stay with us.
So before the break, we were discussing how DeepSeek V2 stacks up against its Western counterparts.
Right.
And you were wondering if this model means that China has caught up in the LLM race.
You know me too well. It's so fascinating to see this kind of innovation coming out of China. I'm especially intrigued by how DeepSeek V2 leverages open-source technology developed in the West,
Oh, yeah.
like GPT-2, LLaMA, and Bloom.
Yeah, that's a really crucial part of their strategy. Instead of starting from scratch, DeepSeek V2's developers have really cleverly built upon those existing foundations,
Okay.
adapting and fine-tuning them to meet those specific needs.
So it's kind of like they've taken the best ingredients from different recipes and combined them to create something new and delicious.
Exactly.
It's a smart move to accelerate development,
Yep.
and avoid reinventing the wheel.
Right. By leveraging open source LLMs, they can tap into the collective knowledge and advancements of the global AI community.
Right.
This approach lets them focus on customization and optimization for the Chinese market,
Yeah.
where, those language nuances and cultural contexts are super important.
It makes sense that they'd want to cater to those specific needs, especially with China's distinct digital landscape and regulations.
Right.
But how exactly are they adapting these Western models? What kind of fine-tuning are we talking about here?
They're doing some really interesting things. First, they're training these models on huge data sets of Chinese text and code,
Okay.
which helps DeepSeek V2 really understand all those intricacies of the language and generate more accurate and culturally relevant responses.
So they're essentially teaching it to speak fluent Chinese, both in terms of everyday language and like the technical language of code.
That's right. They're also customizing the architectures of these pre-trained models to make them more efficient and compliant with China's AI regulations.
It sounds like kind of a delicate balancing act.
Yeah.
Taking these powerful models and tailoring them so they fit within specific cultural and regulatory frameworks. Are there any ethical or legal considerations they have to navigate when they're using open source tech this way?
Of course, they're very careful to make sure that they are complying with licensing agreements and, all the intellectual property rights.
Right.
They're also working really closely with regulatory bodies
Okay.
to make sure that DeepSeek V2 is operating within the guidelines of China's AI ecosystem.
That's good to hear. It shows a commitment to, responsible development and collaboration.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out a little bit. We've been focused on like the technical side of things. But what are the bigger implications of this approach? What does DeepSeek V2's success tell us about the future of AI development, especially in relation to China's role?
It's a really interesting question. DeepSeek V2's emergence really challenges that assumption that AI innovation is only driven by these huge budgets and tons of resources.
Okay.
It shows that strategic use of open source technology combined with a deep understanding of local needs can lead to really remarkable achievements.
It's like they found a way to level the playing field a bit,
Yeah.
making that cutting-edge AI more accessible and adaptable to different contexts. Does this mean that we'll see a shift in how AI is developed and deployed globally?
It's certainly possible. DeepSeek V2's success could inspire other developers in other countries to take similar approaches, leading to a more diverse and dynamic AI landscape.
Okay.
Imagine a world where AI solutions are specifically tailored to cultural and linguistic nuances, making the tech more inclusive and impactful.
That's an exciting thought. But it also brings up questions about, the potential for fragmentation.
Right.
What if everyone is developing their own kind of localized AI? Will we see the tech splinter?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. While localization is really important, it's also crucial to maintain that interoperability and collaboration.
Right.
Ideally, there would be a balance between customization and global cooperation that would allow for both diversity and shared progress.
It sounds like we're entering a new era of AI development.
Yeah.
One where the lines between innovation and adaptation are becoming kind of blurred.
Exactly. And DeepSeek V2 is right at the forefront of this shift. It's showcasing the power of strategic thinking and resourcefulness in a tech landscape that's always changing.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
from the technical details of DeepSeek V2's development to the broader implications for AI's future. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't really fully explored.
Oh, which piece?
You know, that question of whether China has truly caught up with the West in the LLM race?
Right, right.
We've seen how DeepSeek V2 challenges those traditional ideas of AI development and highlights China's growing influence.
Yeah.
But where do they actually stand in terms of, overall capabilities?
Okay.
And what does this mean for that balance of power in the AI landscape?
Well, that's a conversation for our final segment. We'll dig into all the complexities of that question and explore what DeepSeek V2's emergence might mean for the future of AI globally. Stay tuned.
Okay, so welcome back to AI-Pod-CAST. We spent this whole episode really digging into DeepSeek V2, this fascinating new LLM that's come out of China.
Right.
It's cost-effective, efficient, and it's making some serious waves in the AI world. But the question that keeps coming back to me is, does DeepSeek V2 mean that China has caught up with the West in this race for AI dominance?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
And the answer, like with most things in AI, is not a simple one. DeepSeek V2 has definitely shown that China is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
They've shown that they can innovate, adapt, and create AI solutions that are specifically made for what they need.
We've seen how they're using open source technology in this really smart way,
Right.
focusing on being efficient and building a model that works for the Chinese market.
Uh-huh.
It's honestly pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
But does that mean they're at the same level as, like, the Western powerhouses? Like Google and OpenAI, the folks who made GPT?
I think it really depends on what we're using to measure. If we're talking about pure performance on some of those benchmarks, Western models like GPT-4 might still be a little bit ahead, especially for tasks that need, complex reasoning or can be used across different areas.
So there's still a gap in those specific spots.
Yeah.
But what about DeepSeek V2's strong points? We talked about how affordable it is and how it's designed for the Chinese market.
Uh-huh.
How do those things fit into the bigger picture?
Those are really important differences. DeepSeek V2's affordability opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Okay.
It makes AI something that businesses and developers can actually use,
Right.
especially the ones who couldn't afford those premium models before.
Yeah.
And by focusing on China, DeepSeek V2 is filling a specific need that Western developers might not even be thinking about.
It's like they found their niche and they're rocking it.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be everything to everyone.
Right.
They're solving problems that are relevant to them right where they are.
Yeah.
And that's a success story in itself.
Absolutely. It shows that the AI landscape might be changing.
Oh, how so?
We might be moving away from that one-size-fits-all idea of AI and towards more specialized models like DeepSeek V2 that are aware of their context.
Okay.
So instead of having one big player calling all the shots, we might end up with a more diverse system of AI solutions that are tailored to different needs and markets.
That sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah.
It could lead to more innovation, more competition, and ultimately more progress in the whole field of AI.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that first question. Has China caught up?
Yeah.
Maybe the better way to ask that is, has China made its own path in the AI world?
Okay.
And the answer to that is a definite yes.
It sounds like it.
They've shown us that they can compete, they can innovate, and they can make important contributions to the field.
Yeah.
And DeepSeek V2 is proof of that.
Right.
It reminds us that the future of AI isn't a game where someone has to lose. There's space for many players, many approaches, and many different ideas of what success looks like.
So true. DeepSeek V2 has really shaken things up, made us rethink things, and given us a peek at what a more diverse and dynamic AI world could be.
Yeah, and it's a story that's still being written. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here.
Well, we've definitely given you a lot to think about today.
I think so.
But the conversation doesn't have to stop here. This AI world is always changing, and we'll be here to guide you through it.
Right.
So make sure you tune in tomorrow for another episode.
Yeah.
We're going to explore a whole different part of the AI universe. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep that AI curiosity going strong.